coming up to the conference and discussing well, what we're going to do there, what some of the things that Dragon Chain wants to talk about, I said, we've actually got some real industry-changing opportunities from the products that are being launched here. It's not just how to solve this small little problem for Dragon Chain, but they're products that actually can solve major problems for many players within the industry. So, Joe, CEO of Dragon Chain, is going to tell us about those products. Joe Lewis.
Right? Why are we moving from a system where 1% dominates all the economic value to a system where we can all have equal participation and we can live and benefit from the American dream by inventing new systems that act in our best interest?
I can see the numbers and I can see what's going on, and it sometimes just doesn't seem real.
That's what we're focused on, not necessarily the dream aspect or the storytelling aspect of actually bringing this technology to a reality.
We're going to see decentralization of power, and then the largest wealth transfer in human history. And I believe we're seeing a revolution of open source money.
Many of the world's greatest challenges will be solved with new systems powered by blockchain and cryptocurrency, and the sky is the limit. America should be at the forefront of the blockchain and cryptocurrency revolution. There are literally trillions of dollars of economic growth at stake. It's all at stake right now.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
I was born in America. I grew up in Dodge City, Kansas. I love this country. I'll die in this country. I was originally doing work at FBI, and I had a team that I kind of pulled out slowly, either guys that were just fed up with the federal contracting, or sometimes they just get bored, and yet they were amazing engineers. We built things, we did things, but typically you would have somebody come in who was on one of the contracts and say, they need this. We delivered something with immediate ROI, which again, in government, is pretty rare, right? Where it was basically the entire cost of all of our development, the entire cost of our lab, all of our time, all of the hardware, everything involved came in at less than what they were paying for an annual maintenance cost on the hardware they had. I mean, everything was a massive upgrade. One of those things came in, and originally it was because of the traceability, but also just because it was really interesting, was Bitcoin. So I read the Satoshi white paper and realized that it was going to change the way that the world understands value. All of these things are known, right? All of these things it's basically taking a whole bunch of really interesting components and making a complete system, a very holistic system, which makes it possible to transfer scarce virtual items, right? Which were Bitcoin. We were having a lot of trouble with the contracts and how do we pay them and how do we make it so that it's with dollars if they're not in the US and all these other things. How do we clean that up? And so that was kind of the first thing I was looking at with it. It's like, oh, maybe we could do something where we're paying in cryptocurrency, right? I started to get tired of a lot of the gaming that went on, federal contracting, and there were other things I wanted to build.
Okay? What's going to happen is going to be a major revolution. And this time, the revolution is about all the money in the world.
And I believe we're seeing a revolution of open source money.
I came to the US 30 years ago, and I started 7 different companies. I had a brilliant idea that all of you use today, called Voice of IP. So I made a lot of money, and I'm looking at my kids, I look at my 6 kids, and I'm like, they don't have that opportunity. The American dream is not alive for them as it was for me. And the reason for that is that we're all stuck in that pyramid. We're all stuck in a system that is designed to deliver for the 1% and not for the 99%, right? Why are we moving from a system where 1% dominates all the economic value to a system where we can all have equal participation and we can live and benefit from the American dream? The internet created this decentralization and created the ability for people to exchange information, but we did not solve the how do we transfer money or how do we control money. Satoshi really created this right after the 2008 economic collapse.
First thing that you have to understand is today, almost all the money in the world is software. To understand open source money, you need to understand the ethos of open source software. The thing that is astonishing about what's achieved by Satoshi Nakamoto's blockchain is you can point to any single transaction of the billions of transactions, and you can be sure that that's exactly what happened. To me, you can't separate the ethos of Bitcoin and open source money from open source software.
So what Satoshi did is solve the double spend problem. If I sent you $20 and I still have the original, that is a problem. And that problem, computer science has not been able to solve for over 50 years. Voice over IP came and created a new set of rails running on TCP/IP and UDP to replace the phone companies. The same thing is happening now with the financial system because these guys are sucking all the profit out of the system. Right, the 1%, they're not leaving anything to the average American.
We've arrived at a period in history called peak centralization, which is the maximum amount of centralized power.
Satoshi said, I'm going to create a new system, and I'm going to allow people to basically migrate from the old system where the banks and the financial institutions control money to a system that is equal access to everybody. The blockchain is a new set of rails that allows people to transact with each other without a toll collector in the middle, without a middleman or a trusted party moving money. Wall Street looks at this as an enemy. It looks at Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as something that competes with the US dollar, competes with their franchise. It reminds me of the phone companies because I remember when AT&T thought that they were giving God's right to let everybody talk to each other and charge them $3 a minute, you know, like, and now we're doing it for free on WhatsApp and Skype.
And now, with open source money, including Bitcoin, we're going to see decentralization of power and then the largest wealth transfer in human history. This system is a system of decentralized financial infrastructure, which produces, I think, a great opportunity for transformation of wealth inequality and transformation of our presently centralized financial infrastructure. And I believe we're seeing a revolution of open source money.
So when we're talking about centralization versus decentralization, and when I always use this phrase, all roads lead to decentralization. Why do all roads lead to decentralization? Because you cannot take 7.5 billion people and take away the dream from them and think that nothing is going to happen. Okay? What's going to happen is going to be a major revolution. And this time the revolution is about all the money in the world. So this war, it's a war. This is not a little skirmish. This is a war between centralization and decentralization.
Disney calls, and first I'm like, I have to admit, I'm not a Disney person.
Everybody thought we were crazy. And he said, Shirley, I can't keep doing this. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm going to die. My name is Shirley Rhodes, and I am the Chief Human Resources Officer at Dragon Chain. So Joe and I have been married for almost 20 years. Ever since we were married, he's been doing side projects and creating things. out on my own. I'm 18, I'm a student at KU, and I keep running into Joe. I really was a little scared. I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's got really long hair and he's in a heavy metal band.
We were mostly a local band. We got to play with a lot of bigger bands coming through because we were in Kansas City and everybody passes through on I-70, so it was fun. Rhythm and software is not usually paid attention to. People totally ignore that as a concept, and yet when software is running live, there's an obvious rhythm to it. When you're writing music, it is somewhat similar to writing software. I mean, with music, there is some science to it, of course, but it's mostly art, whereas with software, there is some art to it, but it's mostly science. Software is a lot closer to art. It's almost like an art which requires perfection, right? Where you have to get it perfect for it to function, and yet there's a lot of latitude with, you know, where that perfect line is, so.
We dated for about 3 months, and then June 7th, we eloped and got married, and we've been together for almost 20 years. Everybody thought we were crazy, but here we are.
Disney calls, and first I'm like, I mean, I have to admit, I'm not a Disney person, right? So I'm, you know, never have been or anything else, right? But, you know, I knew, you know, coming in as an architect, there are so many things they could use with this tech, right? And, you know, because they have banking, they have ticketing, they have legal, obvious legal. They have, you know, their own worlds where they could actually use currency if they wanted.
No, it's just it's his passion, and he's my husband, so, and my soulmate, so.
I started talking to him. I took it, and we moved up here.
And we're taking each other's hands, and we're at the bridge, and we just jump, because to me it's like, well, let's see where this adventure can take us. We decided that, hey, let's uproot the family and move across the country to Seattle.
Inside of Disney, I worked with a small group of engineers to build a new blockchain architecture. Eileen reached out to, you know, basically the whole Seattle team, asking if anybody wanted to talk about Bitcoin.
I'm Eileen Quinnen, and I'm the president of the Dragon Chain Foundation. I'm also VP of Strategic Partnerships for Dragon Chain Inc. So I grew up mainly in New Orleans. I came to Seattle about 13 years ago after Hurricane Katrina. So I'm a refugee from that storm. Started reading about like Bitcoin and blockchain. I was like super interested. So during the time I was at Disney, I was always trying to find people who were also interested in talking about that sort of thing. And I sent out an email to, like, used to call it the not official business. So I sent out an email saying, hey, anybody here interested in talking about Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency, let's all get together and just, you know, have lunches.
And I'm like, oh, yeah. So went and talked to her and found out what she was already trying to work on, trying to put things together.
Joe reached back out and was like, hey, you know, I'm totally interested in this, let's talk about it. And so he and I and about 4 or 5 other people just kind of hung out talking about these things.
I started working with her. We built together this volunteer team internally and just started building stuff.
About 1.5 years into Disney, he was frustrated with the politics and just being at a corporation where there's so many layers, and if you want to change something, it takes months. You've got to convince so many people that don't know what they're doing, or people who think they know what they're doing but really don't, because they've been in that position for a long, long time, and therefore they have seniority. He came home and he said, Shirley, I can't keep doing this. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he said, I can't work for other people. I'm going to die.
We're about to launch Dragon Chain ICO, and you know, we know that we have to expect anything. It's crazy. There's going to be a lot of attacks and a lot of exciting things happen, I'm sure.
I can see the numbers and I can see what's going on. It's unbelievable. Sometimes I don't believe it myself.
Feels in my gut like it's all meant to be. Oh, what's wrong?
I am understanding you to say it is a violation of the law.
Yes. So we had the open source out there. We had the Dragon Chain Foundation that handled it. It's an open source project, so there was no funding. You know, we had some volunteers. We had people that did small work, but it's a new tech. It's complex. It's not something you can get hundreds of people immediately to come in and work on. And because we were doing things very different than, like, say, Ethereum or Bitcoin.
So we just made a commitment to that open source project. And again, this is sort of a common thing in the open source world, so like Linux Foundation, for example. And it just helps to kind of put a container around the open source and also the commitment of the team to maintain that open source. And the reasons why you want to do it is that we wanted to move blockchain technology forward.
Once we formed Dragon Chain outside of Disney, we looked for the best path to raise capital. We obviously explored traditional venture capital and had some really good interest and some offers, but it didn't quite fit, it didn't quite feel right. We chose a more decentralized path by selling our software licenses, our Dragons. We're about to launch Dragon Chain ICO, and you know, we know that we have to expect anything.
And it was just cool to be introduced to this new technology. I was always familiar with what Bitcoin could do, but then to start getting exposed in terms of taking what that technology can do and putting into smart contracts, et cetera, it was just an excitement to be at the forefront of something so innovative.
So for our ICO, those were good lessons learned and the different ways in which they managed the Ether and Bitcoin coming in and do the disbursement of the Dragons. It took a lot of coding, it took a lot of expertise, and it went incredibly well.
Look, the graph is pretty much in a one-way direction. It's up 1,000% this year alone.
Bitcoin is the widest, most important deployment of cryptography to individuals in the history of the world.
I think maybe I'm just cross. I didn't put a penny in Bitcoin.
Bitcoin and, you know, the underlying technology is here to stay, so it's not going anywhere.
Hit a new record high of $20,000 per coin.
Crypto universe coming back with a vengeance this month. Check out some of the biggest coins in the space surging. Ripple up 50%, Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash up more than 40%, and Litecoin and Bitcoin are up around 20%. This as the total crypto market cap hits a 4-week high, now back above $350 billion. And our own crypto...
It's unbelievable how Joe brought his vision to life. Sometimes I don't believe it myself, just being in that blockchain technology space. It's new and exciting.
It exceeded my wildest dreams, and that feels funny. You know, I mean, it's kind of like Wile E. Coyote, you know, where you're like, I'm gonna run, and then you're like, oh wow, I went further than I knew how to go. We're probably gonna double in size in the next month. It's crazy. We've outgrown like 3 offices already.
Not only want to secure my future, I want, you know, now we have other people working for us, so I want to secure their future. I don't want to let them down. It's exciting, and at the same time, it's terrifying.
There was a lot of relief, even on the rest of the team, that, you know, that was accomplished, it was successful, and it was complete. Now this is real, so we have to deliver, you know, and that's a big deal. There's a lot of pressure.
You know, our JoJo, our logo is really popular. Merch is a product, right, that we can do. And so more people just love this character, and I see that evolving.
Feels in my gut like it's all meant to be.
Cryptocurrencies are a crock.
We've made it clear what the law is. If you are promoting securities, you're taking on securities law liability.
I am understanding you to say it is a violation of the law.
Yes.
So should I take today as you're sounding a warning bell for people? Maybe they better pay a little closer attention to the law, or the SEC is going to pay closer attention to them?
Yeah.
Governments are going to crush it one day.
Why is the narrative around Bitcoin is still really hard to grasp?
Who cares about Bitcoin?
You know, Bitcoin is worth 0.
But fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
In terms of cryptocurrencies, generally, I can say almost with certainty that they will come to a bad ending.
Hello. Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? Today, February 2nd, we received an official notice from the SEC that Dragon Chain is under investigation.
It's really hard.
It's just hell.
You've got big, powerful incumbents that are spending lots of money to influence regulators to kill the industry.
Bitcoin and blockchain is the most important technology I will ever see in my life.
So it feels like we're supposed to fight this battle with the SEC.
But my biggest fear is the SEC coming down and shutting Dragon Chain down.
There's no stopping this technology, and everybody knows that. We need to stand together to defend the right to build the America that we want.